What's up? What do you have lobster claws?
Also, I can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh, what's up? What do you have lobster claws for?
Because I made a new bow thing on my head. It's just like it's
Oh,
just
I
half
just
ribbon.
noticed that.
But to me, as soon as I put it on, it looked like the claws. So I was like, I'm gonna hold two claws and I'm gonna go harass aggro. Because I can. I was like, what the heck? What the heck? Sorry.
You're good, you're good. I heard you coming up the elevator.
Did I scare you?
No, I heard the elevator.
Bye!
Bye. Hey guys, Agro Ninja here. Welcome back to another episode of Vault Hunters on the Void Hunters SMP. As you just saw, we were getting ready to go into our intro. We even did our little jump that we like to do. And Short Zelda popped up the elevator at the same time. I didn't know who it was, but I heard it. We were already recording, so I left it running. So I decided that we would intro the episode with that. When she sees that, she's gonna get a giggle. She probably didn't even know we were about to start recording. But in today's episode, we're gonna try to be a little bit more productive. We unlocked all those mods in the previous episode, and we didn't do hardly anything with them at all. I want to change that. I want to get some machines set up and possibly do a little bit of building. We'll see. Building is not today's focus. We'll just have to see. Well, let's go ahead and jump on in. Since the last episode, you'll probably notice we've moved a few things up into our workshop. And this is essentially all of the machines plus a few extra bits from the basement. So there's now almost nothing in the basement. We left the igneous extruders down there with the storage drawers and like a chest full of some random tidbits. But everything else we moved up on a recent stream. And we ran into a little bit of a problem. We really only have one block of space that we're working with because this back wall here is an exterior wall. And it took me a little while to figure out exactly how we could set all this up. But essentially we got a pipe coming up out of our Create fluid tank. And it runs over here to this thermal series fluid cell, which has a buffer of 32 buckets. And that is feeding our 3 hardened magmators. We now have 3. We did talk about upgrading those, so we did go ahead and do that on stream. And from there, we got power coming out in this energy pipe into a thermal series redstone flux cell where we have a 1 million FE power buffer. I know that's not a whole lot, but it's quite a bit for the little bit of machines that we have running at this time. As far as our redstone furnace and pulverizers go, we have added a reinforced integral component, which is the next tier over the hardened one. And over here, we've added a reinforced one to our multi-servo presso. So both the sawmill and the multi-servo presso have a hardened integral component. We still need to do a flux linkage amplifier, but we haven't had time to craft those yet. We're running low on some of those resources. As far as how we're doing input and output on these machines, the design that I came up with is a shulker on top with it set to auto input. So everything's getting pulled out of the shulker into the machine. And then when it's ready, it is auto ejecting the output into a shulker. I just noticed these are not set to output, so they won't actually function properly. I don't see our wrench. Where is our wrench at? Well, we'll worry about that later. These are working because I have been using them, which takes us to our next thing. While we were over at the community center running some vaults, they had acknowledged that we were running a little low on chromatic iron. So a couple of the guys have been collecting chromatic iron for the community. So I combined that with some of ours. So a couple of stacks of this is ours. All of this Laramar and Benonite is ours. But the chromatic iron, I don't know if we touched on this in the previous episode, but we can now run, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. If we run 1 chromatic iron through our pulverizer, you also get to see how fast it is now. It's definitely a lot quicker, and the redstone furnace is even quicker. But we get 4 of that chromatic iron dust, and if we pull that out, I can show you how quick the redstone furnace is now. Definitely getting a little quicker, and it's all renewable energy, so we don't have to worry about running out of power. We just have to stay under our max generation capabilities, which is 600 FE per tick. But essentially, I volunteered to process all this into ingots. we're going to keep a little bit for ourselves, but more than 90% will go back into the community center, and we'll take that over later in today's episode. It's going to take a while to process all this up. But how about we do a quick vaulting status update? But we're still wearing the same power armor set with a coconut shield. I really wish the shields were part of the armor sets. You kind of have to use one of the ones that's available, and I don't think any of the shields match any of the armor sets. Kind of their own thing. Same thing with the weapons. Maybe there's some weapon and shield combo sets. I don't know. We are also using the same sword we've been using. I've actually even repaired it once because I've yet to get a sword, even though it's common and only level 20. We're all the way up to level 31 now. We've been doing a lot of vault grinding, trying to catch up, which we're about to go do some more of that off camera. But essentially, we're 5 to 10 levels behind everybody except just a couple of people. But this sword is like a tier 3, and it does 20 base damage. It's pretty good. I'm hoping to get something a little better soon. We do have an axe that does 29 damage, a lot more damage, but I don't really like the axes. We've had some bad experiences with those because the attack speed's a little low. But if we pop into our skills, you'll see that our damage is now at 60.8. Our hearts are up to 39. This is the most hearts we've ever had, and our defense is at 52%, which is probably close to, if not the highest we've ever had our defense. And I'll just scroll through the stats so you can see those. If you see anything that is worth dropping a comment about, definitely let me know if you see something that I'm doing wrong. We're mostly running around level 30 epic armor. We've got a couple pieces like our leggings, for example, that are common. And I believe our shield is rare. So yeah, we're almost all epic except our leggings and our shield. So hopefully once we get up around 34, I have some additional armor unlocked from running higher level vaults that we can't use yet. I haven't unlocked any additional skills or abilities since the previous episode, so we're not going to dive too deep into this yet, except if we take a moment to look at our inventory, you'll see that I have some items here that might look familiar. What we're going to do is craft our second skill shard. Because we are level 31, we are at 5, and we've been saving up for haste 2, which is 6 skill points. So let's go ahead and hit this crafting station. We're going to look up skill orb. The first thing we got to craft is this orb frame, and the reason we've been kind of waiting on this is it takes forever to get enough skill essence for a skill orb, and we should have some in here. There they are, 8. We only have a couple extras, there's 6. We finally have enough to do one more skill orb. We've only done one of these so far since we started, so we're about to do our second one. There we go. Now we have a skill orb. Let's go ahead and hit that. That'll get us to 6. We're gonna pop back into our skills real quick. We're gonna tab over to talents, and we're gonna unlock haste 2. We now have speed 2, haste 2, and strength 2. That is pretty freaking sweet. But that is pretty much it for our vaulting status update. How about we get to work on all that chromatic iron and Larimar. Well, we finally got all of that chromatic iron processed up. If we take a look here, you'll see we have nearly 3 shulkers of chromatic iron that's going to get delivered back to the community center. I think when we started, we had, was it 2 rows of chromatic iron ore? I believe that's what it was. And now we have really more than 3 shulkers full of chromatic iron if you include what we're keeping. Although some of this was already processed and sitting in our backpack, we just added it to our personal stash. In this bin, this is where we put all of our processed Larimar and Meonite gems that we own, except for the ones that are with all of our other gems back in our vault bay. We do need to consolidate all that at some point in today's episode. If we take a quick peek at the redstone furnace, you'll see we've crafted a couple more flux linkage amplifiers. And that's because this was taking, well, it was taking quite a bit of time. So we crafted a few of those and that really sped it up. And if we go up the elevator, you'll see we have added a really small chest storage area. We are kind of using this in conjunction with shulkers. So this should give us quite a bit of storage until we get into Applied Energistics, which hopefully is coming very soon. And since we put all those chests up there, we did go through most of our shulkers. We still got a few outside of the tower, as well as these 3 here, although it looks like one of those is empty and this one's got some random bits in it. But I think that's just about everything we've been working on. We're gonna go ahead and grab these bins. We are going to make a delivery to the community center and start getting things ready to put a few additional machines together for our workshop. So we are back over at the scare floor, and I just wanted to show you guys, we dropped off all that chromatic iron and we have nearly 9 stacks of chromatic iron blocks, not ingots, blocks. That is so much chromatic iron. But we're gonna run down to our vaulting bay and we're gonna grab some of our stuff. We're gonna start taking some things over to the Tower of Doom. We're still gonna use this as like a showcase area and a drop off for while we're vaulting. But some of the craftable items, like all of our ores, we're gonna start keeping these at the Tower of Doom. So we're gonna grab those. We are gonna leave our relic pieces here for now and all of our armor bits. In here, we're gonna pick up our shulkers that we use to transport the chromatic iron. And that reminds me, in one of these, Short Zelda said she dropped off some blocks that she couldn't do anything with because she doesn't have thermal series unlocked. So we're going to turn those into blocks for her real quick. Do we have anything else? We're going to leave these because I think these are rare. I was watching Short Zelda's latest episode and she had built a room kind of displaying these, and I don't know if these are available anymore. So we're going to hang on to these. We might have some rare ores. We did get one additional vault artifact since the last episode, and I don't think you guys have seen that yet. But other than that, nothing's really changed in our vaulting area. We do need to come back to that at some point and do a little bit of work. But we're going to see, does she have a crafting table? Because I completely forgot to do that down there. Let's put all these in a grid. And it looks like it's going to craft 4 with some spares. So hopefully she'll be able to place these. I don't know with her not having the mod unlocked. We'll just have to see. But I think we have everything we need. How about we head on back to the Tower of Doom and get started on some Applied Energistics. So we're back over at the Tower of Doom, and I think I have everything together that we're going to need to craft our first component, which is going to be the energy acceptor. And if we just take a quick peek at that, you can see it takes some chromatic iron ingots and some vibrant quartz glass, and you get that from quartz glass and glowstone, which you get from search quartz dust and any type of glass. And we need this in order to do anything in Applied Energistics. Not only is it going to power our system, but it's also going to power our inscribers, which we're going to use to craft various components. So let's go ahead and throw that stuff in a crafting grid. We'll see if we can do this from memory. So we don't have to go back through the sequence of crafts backwards. So there's the quartz glass. We're going to stick that in the middle. Put glowstone on each side. That gives us the vibrant quartz glass. And then of course, we go ahead and click on that acceptor. Push that into the crafting grid. And go ahead and get that energy acceptor. And for now, our system's going to grow a lot. But for now, we don't have any plans for any additional machines at the moment. So we're going to go ahead and put our Applied Energistics system temporarily right here in this section of the wall. So we're going to pop this out. And we need to actually just go ahead. Oh, okay, there's the connection. we're going to break these blocks out so we can run the power over to it. And I forgot to grab some power cables, so let's see if we have any real quick. We do have some. Good. This is going to be very awkward if I was going to have to like stop the video and come back. So we're going to go ahead and place down our energy cable. We're going to run that up so it's nice and pretty, and we're going to stick our energy acceptor right there. And now I'm going to start working on getting all the stuff we need together to craft up at least one inscriber press. So we have everything together that we need to craft our inscriber press, and it requires some interesting things. So if we go in here and take a look, the oddest thing to me was this wax block of copper. I don't know who thought that would be an interesting ad, but I've never seen that in all my days of modded, using a waxed block of copper to craft something in Applied Energistics. But we have everything else, the perfect Larimar and the 5 chromatic steel ingots. So we're going to go ahead, pop that into our crafting grid. We're going to pull that out, and for now, because we don't have any cabling, we're just going to attach it directly to that energy acceptor, and it should be receiving power. I don't know if that's going to work. It doesn't look like it's storing anything, so let's break that. Let's pop this wall off, and let's try sticking it on top. And it says it's online, but it says it doesn't have any power. Well, let's test it out. Where did we put our presses? I believe they're down here, and this bin, nope. There they are. We want the one for silicone. And then in order to craft silicone, man, we're going to have to go do some mining for source quartz stuff. We do not have much. For now, we're just going to do that many. We're going to run these through our redstone furnace, which is super fast now. We're going to pull those out. And then we're going to try to press these and see what happens. So it is processing. So it's just not showing power, but it is receiving power. Sweet. So we got our first printed silicone. Now we can work on crafting a few of all of the Applied Energistics computer chips. What are those things called? Let's look up. What is this called? Printed silicone. And we use these for processors. That is the word. And if we look up processors, you'll see that there are 3 different types. So we need to make all the components for each one of these different ones. So there's silicone, there's the printed logic circuit, there is the calculation circuit, and the engineering circuit. So we need to craft up all of these and then craft up some of the 3 different types of processors that we're going to be using today. So we now have some of the processors from Applied Energistics. We can look at crafting the next couple components we need. And the first thing we're going to look at is the actual controller of our first system. And it's going to take some chromatic steel ingots, one of our engineering processors, a perfect Larimar, and a couple of these flux crystals. Now, we're not going to get these the way it's intended because we already have some flux blocks which have been raided from the gigantic meteors that are put in the world from Applied Energistics, which is also where you get the presses. I completely forgot about that element. We got ours from the community storage, and there is 4 of these, but if you look on the mini map, you can probably see one if we look around. I'm not seeing any off the bat, but there are these gigantic meteors in the world. And each one of those you can get 1, 2, sometimes 3 of the presses. And there's also the sky block, and you get those flux blocks around the skystone chest, which has the presses in them. I will find one of those and then show them to you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. But since we have these flux blocks, we can actually break those down into flux crystals. But the normal way you would get these if you didn't have those flux blocks, which we'll have to get into eventually, is by crafting them. And to get them, you get them from the seeds, and you can actually run these through the enrichment chamber and mechanism, but the intended route is to put them in water, and it takes 20 minutes for them to grow into flux crystals. And the seeds are crafted from flux dust and a combination of sand. And to get that flux dust, you simply throw 1 redstone, 1 charged search quartz crystal, and another quartz into water, and it'll give you 2. And the only one of these things that might look unfamiliar is this charged search quartz crystal. And you get that by, well, by charging it in a charger, which powers it. So pretty straightforward, but since we already have some, we won't get into all that right now. But we should have every component we need to go ahead and craft this controller on us. So we should be able to shift that over into the UI. There it is right there. So we now have a controller, which is going to give us an awesome advancement. It's unfortunate that this mod pack doesn't have any type of like quest book. It's all kind of RPG based, so unlocks and skills and extremely grindy and very, very modified crafting recipes. But it would still be cool if there was some type of like overarching like objective or a quest book. The next thing we're going to look at crafting is the storage bay, whatever they call that in Applied Energistics. It's definitely not storage. I think it's called drive bay. Yes, it's called drive bay, and we do want the Applied Energistics one. It's actually called an ME drive, but essentially it holds a bunch of disks, which is where everything that we want to put in our system is stored. And it requires some chromatic steel ingots, black chromatic steel ingots, a couple of our engineering processors, and one of these flux ME glass cables. We actually need to craft this first, and if we go take a look at that, you can see it's essentially 2 of those flux crystals, as well as a quartz fiber, which we can get from search quartz dust, glass, and chromatic iron ingots. And it looks like I forgot to grab some dust, so we're going to grab some of that real quick. We have plenty of it. Now we're going to go back over here, go back into that quartz fiber. We're going to craft just a little bit of it. We don't need a lot. And then we can go in here, craft some of this. We're going to go ahead and craft up that many of those. So that would give us 16 total. And now we should be able to go in here and craft our ME drive. And what I'm thinking is right now we're just going to put all this on the wall like this. And we could bring that all the way over if we wanted to. Yeah, let's bring it over to here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put the controller right here. So it's getting power from our energy acceptor. And then we're going to put the ME drive bay right next to it. And that should connect. Yeah, it says device online. And now what we need to work on is getting everything we need for some drives to go into our drive bay, as well as a crafting terminal. And I think that's going to wrap up today's goals as far as Applied Energistics go. But this might be the most complex thing we have to do. We're going to go just look at the crafting terminal right now. I haven't even looked at the drives yet. But the crafting terminal requires an ME terminal, one of our calculation processors we just crafted, a crafting table, and an echo pog. And if we look at an echo pog, that is 8 pogs in 1 perfect echo gem. So I don't even know if I have all this stuff yet. I'm gonna have to go take a look. We may have to do a little bit of vault grinding. And the terminal uses a regular pog. So we're gonna need 9 pogs. We're gonna need one of our logic processors, one of these bright illuminated panels, which is essentially just some quartz glass, which we already know how to make, glowstone, redstone, and iron. And going back in there, we're also going to need a formation core and an annihilation core. I think I said that correctly. Which you can see, I mean, this is the most complex thing we've crafted yet in the game. And it's such a small thing, but it's so critical to why we want our ME system. So I can see why it's quite complex. So we're going to clean up our inventory, probably do some resource grinding, and get everything we need to craft not only our crafting terminal, but also a couple storage drives so we can start using our system. Well, I think we have everything together we need to craft a couple of drives as well as our crafting terminal, which I am so excited for. We had enough gems for the Echo Pog and the Extra Pog, but we didn't have enough Echo Gems. So we needed to go and get one from community storage. So I owe community storage one Echo Gem, but we did have 3. So we're going to go ahead and look at crafting our crafting terminal first. We should have everything we need to craft the core components. So we already looked at the ingredients for all these. So we're just going to go ahead and send this to the grid. We're going to get that ME terminal. Now we could stop here, but I want to be able to craft from our system. So we're going to go ahead and convert that to a crafting terminal. As you can see, that's going to take that Echo Pog. And once you see what you can do with this, you'll see why it's so expensive. So we now have a crafting terminal. We should be able to just use one of our regular Fluix cables for now, plop that right there, and then add our crafting terminal. Now let's see if that is accessible. It does say device online, but we don't have any way to put anything in there at the moment. So now we do look at crafting some drives, and it looks like we're gonna have enough logic processors for 2 4K drives, which is what we're going to attempt to do. So if we look up 4K, we need to craft 2 of these components first, which are going to require 3 of these 1K drives. We're going to skip the one. I usually skip the 1K and go straight into 4K, and I think we have enough stuff to do this. So we're going to shift that over in there. We're just going to load it up with some goodies. We may not have, oh yeah, we have enough chromatic iron. Let's give it some more redstone, more crystals, and then balance those out. And we need 6 of these. So we're going to take one of these off because we don't want to make too many. And then we'll pull everything else out of our grid. And if we go back to the 4K ME storage component, we should have everything we need. We may not have enough of these. We'll see. Calculation press. Oh yeah, we got enough. We're going to send everything up there. I made some perfect Larimar. And then if add the redstone and then load balance those, that should give us 2. And we need to convert these into stored cells, which is going to require one of these. And this is the one thing I didn't look at. So we need blocks of redstone. Oh my goodness. I should have looked at that ahead of time. I don't know if we have any. Oh, we have some redstone ready to go. So this should be enough. It was 3, correct? So we're going to need 6 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go in here and craft 2 of these. Give it some more redstone, a couple more chromatic iron, and some more chromatic steel ingots. And then we need 2 of these bad boys. Pull everything out, and now we should finally be able to craft 2 of our 4K ME item storage cells. And we're just going to throw those in our system right here. So if we right click this, you can see there are 10 slots for drives. We're starting with 2. So each one of these can hold 63 different types of items and 4,096 bytes available storage, which is essentially 1 byte per item, I believe is how that works. So if we drop some 33 redstone in there, you can see that it went to, yeah, so it used 37 bytes. So it's not quite 1 for 1, but that's pretty good. So now what we're going to use this for getting started, this is where we're going to put all of our stuff, like some of our Larimar, a lot of our crafting components that we use. So we're not running around with all this stuff in our inventory. So like all of these things right here, we're going to dump all this stuff in there. For example, our chromatic steel ingot, we're going to keep some of our Larimar in there, but not all because we have so much of it. Our search quartz, our processors, things that we're using to craft items with. And then we can start unloading all of this stuff in there as well. And that way, when we come over here, we can just request something really easy that we want. I'm trying to think of something simple that we could do. Well, we don't have enough items in here to do anything major. But just as an example, I see the redstone in there. We can go redstone. And this is very basic demo of how this works. But we could tell it we want a redstone block. it's going to pull from the system, put it there, and then we can grab it just like that. Now you can see how useful that would be for creating something like another one of our 4K drives. As long as we had all the components in there, all we would have to do is just, you know, click through what we needed. It tells you what you're missing, so we could craft some more of these if we want to. See, there's a 1K ME storage cell. We are going to be crafting some more because we're going to hit that 8K cap on items pretty quick. But we have a function ME system. I usually sort by number of items, and then we get rid of that search term, and you can see everything that we have in there. So I'm going to work on getting some stuff in there, maybe crafting a few more drives. But I think for today, we're getting really close to wrapping things up. I know it may not feel like we've done a lot today, but this was such a huge step forward. And just, I mean, the amount of off-camera grinding that I had to do to get all of this chromatic steel that we needed. Oh my goodness. Several vault runs. But let's go ahead and get some stuff moved over into our system before we wrap things up. I think we have everything together. We need to craft a couple more drives, and I've started putting stuff in our system. As you can see here, we've got quite a few of our items that we use to craft regularly. We've also attached some item frames to the wall where we put our presses so they're easily accessible when we need to make more processors like I just had to do. So if we go in here and we look up 1K, actually we'll just go all the way to 4K. We should be able to click in on that 1K. Go ahead and click it. And the nice thing about this is that as long as you have it in your inventory, it leaves it in the grid, so I don't have to worry about like trying to figure out exactly how many we need. But I do know that we need 6 total, so we can put that stuff back, and then we go in here to the 4K component, click that, click it twice, drop those in there, and then if we go over to the storage cell itself, we're gonna need 2 of these. And as long as you have the items, this is so much faster. I wanted to show you guys this just so you could see. Just like that, we've got 2 more storage cells. So as we continue to advance our tech, increase our machine capabilities, and start integrating things into our system, it's going to really accelerate what we're able to do. Unfortunately, with this Modpack, we're still going to be tied to having to physically run vaults for all of this vault material. As I said previously, we did so much grinding primarily for refined carbon, so we could craft a whole bunch of chromatic steel ingots because we needed a ton for all of the processors that we just crafted today. But I think that's just about gonna wrap things up for today. There is one last thing I want to do. I want to establish a new waystone so we can get in and out of our workshop a little easier. And for now, we're gonna put it up here. We're just gonna put it over here. Let's put it right there. We're gonna call this Agro's Tower of Doom New. And the reason we're doing that is we're gonna give people time to come to the old one and come up and map to the new one. So if you are watching this and you haven't, you may want to come map to the new controller. So you can pop in and say hi all every once in a while. But for today, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions or feedback, please leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. This is Agro Ninja, and that's a wrap.